Hey yo, welcome to my channel. In today's video you are going to be learning how to extend media library in WP, not just 4.4 but the latest version 6.0.2. Oh yes, the latest version 6.0.2. As you can see, it is the version I'm currently using, 6.0.2. But before we continue, please and please do subscribe to my channel. I really need your support on this so that I can continue to make this video, else I'm just going to shut down the channel. Okay, please do subscribe to this channel. So I believe you are really interested in extending WordPress media library. That's why you jump on this video. So we're going to, at the end of this video, we are going to be able to achieve adding a new tab to this media section. As you can see, so after a long time of researching and checking the internet for solution, I was unable to find a solution to this problem until I have to just build it from scratch using another person's source code. Okay, so in this video I'm going to be sharing you how that really happened. But please do subscribe to my channel and like the video. Okay, so now let's dive straight to the code. So at first, once you get to your add new post section, you are not going to find anything and you're not going to find anything that is related to your own personal tab. I mean custom tab that you really care about. Meanwhile, it is possible for you to add a custom tab to this section. Yes, you can add a custom tab to this section. Maybe you want to import any REST API endpoints down to the media library from another source. So this video is going to help you to do that. So let's dive straight to the code by adding this to our layer. Okay, so first I'm going to open my VS Code on the project of this current WordPress. Okay, so what I'm gonna do next is let me close this, close this, close this. Okay, so let me zoom my screen so that you can see what I'm doing. Let me zoom my screen. Okay, I think this is a bit better. Okay, drop down this WP content area. So there are two ways for you to do it. Is either you create a new plugin or you add it to the current active theme that you're currently using. So if I check my current active theme, it should be storefront. So make sure you are adding it to your current active theme. This is my current active theme, which is storefront, and you can also create a new plugin entirely to add that functionality. But in this case, we're going to be adding it to our current activated theme, which in my own case is what, storefront. So drop down storefront. Under storefront, go to functions.php. So under function.php, you're gonna scroll down to the last end of your code. So in my own case, I already declared a class in my previous video, which is users API. So I'm going to be creating another class and I'm going to initializing it. So this one is going to be Ade Media Library. So let's call this Ade Media Library. Okay, so with Ade Media Library, we are going to be declaring a class in this section, Ade Media Library. Okay, so Ade Media Library is not extending anything. Let's take out this guy. Then in the first method, we're going to be using a init method. Init method is going to take in place of some assets in, but before we do that, we are going to initialize this Ade Media Library. So over here I'm going to make the initialization of Ade Media Library. Okay, so now we initialize the Ade Media Library. So let me call Ade Media Library dot init. Now this init method is the one that's going to trigger the parent method. Is going to be the one to trigger the rest of the other functions we are going to be using. Okay, so now at this current stage that we are now, we are ready and set to go. So the next thing that we're going to be doing now is creating a new folder for our assets, because it's in the assets we are going to be importing the JS data that we're going to be using, the JS and other functionality that we're going to be passing in. Okay, so now first I'm going to create a new folder in this directory. Okay, we already have an asset folder. So since we already have an asset folder, I'm just going to take it down to the JS part. So under this JS part, I'm going to create a new file called Ade Media. So let me just create a new file under this JS file. This is going to be called Ade Media .js. Okay, so under Ade Media.js is where we're going to be passing some JavaScript data we are going to be passing some JavaScript data into this place. But before we pass anything, let's return back to the Ade Media Library. So under Ade Media Library, we are going to be importing the file that we just created, this Ade media.js. So this Ade media.js has to be imported using the wp-enqueue script. So I'm going to be introducing wp-enqueue script here. wp-enqueue script. Okay, so I'm going to wp-enqueue script Ade media over here. So to do that, I'm going to use wp-enqueue script. So just single script. So under wp-enqueue script, I take it down. Then the name of the script is what Ade Media Library. Then the path to this file is going to be the root directory of my my current area. Now, as you can see, I'm currently in function.php, and I'm going directly towards assets. Under assets JS folder, under JS folder, I have Ade Media Library. So to achieve that is very simple. Is either I use get template directly, is either I use get templates template directory. Let's look out for that. Template directory, template. So there are several ways for you to do it. Get template directory URL, exactly. So now once you pass the get template directory URI, is going to pick the entire folder for the current activated theme. So once this is done, then we're going to pass in the assets area. And if you don't want to use something like this, you can use on the directory method, which is one of the fastest way to just get through your mind, which is the raw PHP format. I'm very good at that. I can either pass it directly, but if you want to use the WordPress format, you can also use this functionality to do that. But just know that once your files is in the same folder area, you can use the directory format to just punch into it and get the file directly. But because we are pointing directly to a URL, you cannot be using a file. So if you use a file at the front end, it's going to be seen as a file, not a URL. So we need it as a URL. That's why we're getting this as a URL. Okay, so now this URL template directory is going to fetch this comment directory as a link text. Then we return the assets. We're going to return the assets. So assets /js Ade media. So we call this Ade media.js. So I'm very sure I'm very correct. Okay, good. Ade media.js. Awesome. Okay, so after that has been declared, the next thing we need to just import in is the dependencies that we're going to be using in creating the media library. So this dependency is going to be jQuery and the media views. So let's introduce jQuery and media views. So here I'm going to have jQuery, then we're going to have media views. Media views. Okay, so we don't really need media upload, but we need media views. So we can actually leave it if you really need to do that, but currently we need what? Media views. That's what we are just working with. Okay, so now this part has been declared. So we have our GS imported into the WordPress area. Now this is this guy. So I'm going to let me just introduce console.log. Let me log something. I'm working so that we can see something on the screen. Just be sure it's working. Okay, so I'm going to save this now. Save. Go back to the browser and let's go to the dashboard. Open the developer tool. Let's see if this is working. Now as you can see, it says I'm working. That means it's seeing our JavaScript. So now let's go to add new section. Under add new section, if you click on add media, you're not going to find any tab. It's still the same thing. So now the next thing we're going to do now is to declare how this tab is going to work. Yes, it's to declare how this tab is going to work. So now I'm going to close this section. Let's leave this developer tool on. Let me zoom in this developer tool area. Okay, so now this has been zoomed. So the next thing we're going to go is go back to the media library area. Then we're going to head down to our JavaScript section where we're going to be building the dependency based on WP media views. Based on WP media views, that we're going to be building this thing on. So, okay, so now let's dive straight to this JavaScript section. So I'm going to clear what I currently have here. Okay, so that has been cleared. So what we're going to define here now is the first for define the frame. So variable frame is equals to wp.media wp.media.view capital letter media frame dot post. Okay, so once we target this area, the next thing we are gonna do is to capture the WP media post area, then capture the extent of the area. So that's what we're going to be doing now. So we're going to use this as well. WP, as you can see, wp.view dot what wp.media.view.media frame.post is equals to what frame.extent. So that is my GitHub Copilot that actually complete that for me. Okay, so now I'm going to close the declaration. Okay, so don't get confused, we are still on track. So the first time we declare this frame as this guy, under what frame variable. Then we now reinitialize the medium frame post again by extending the functionality of medium frame dot post. We are extending the functionality so that we can pass our own custom functionality into it. Okay, so without further ado, let's continue to what we're doing. So after this has been extended, they were going to initialize. So let's initialize over here. So initialize, under initialization we are going to pass the frame prototype. Okay, so now frame prototype dot initialize dot apply under this argument. So we are going to just pass the prototype and initialize the same data under the current frame we are extending. Okay, so after this has been applied, we now need to declare the state. Save. Okay, go to the next level. Variable state is equal to WP media controller. Okay, so variable state is equal to WP media controller. Not this time around is not library, it should be state. So let's change this to state. Controller state dot extend small letter extend dot extend. Okay, dot extend. So now variable state is equals to WP media dot controller dot state dot extend. So now we are extending the state. Now the first that we're going to just target on this state is making sure that once the state has been closed or something, you can easily pass something into it. So in this state functionality, let's just pass an insert into it. So we're going to pass insert function, insert method, or insert object properties, passing a function as a callback into it. Now inside it, let's just log something. Let's just log something. Just log something here. So whenever there's an action on the states, we should just get something on the screen. So this will just keep us on track, and it's going to show us that okay, the state is active, and anytime there is a trigger on the insert area, is going to close the current page that we are creating, current tab. Okay, so don't forget, this is a source code of somebody that I'm interpreting here so that you guys will understand it. Okay, so over here now I'm going to target the frame dot close. So I'm going to say this dot frame dot close. Okay, this dot frame dot close. So this is going to close the frame after something has been done to the screen. Anytime you want to insert using the state. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next section. In this new section is going to be the current state dot add. So in this current state now we are going to add something to the state that we created. Okay, so we are going to now target it by saying this dot state dot add. So we need to add a new state to it. So in the adding we are going to pass an array. Then in this array we are going to pass what? New state. Then inside this new state we are going to declare the ID. So ID will be the ID that you would like to use. So in this case I'm going to use ID media. Yes, ID media. Then search functionality, let's add a search functionality as false. We don't need search functionality for that. Then the title will be ID media. Okay, so that is ID media, which is awesome. So this has been done. Then the next part now we need to focus on now is the on render functionality. So I'm going to move down, then target the on render area. So on render, let's call this on render. This is going to be this dot on render. The on render is going to target the first layer as content render. So content render is going to target the ID that I set, ID media. Awesome. So the next thing I'm going to now do now is to target the object that I want to render. So this dot render is going to render the declaration I'm going to be making under the browser route, but for now we have not declared that, but let's just pass something to it. So this dot render ID media. So ID media content. So we have not passed this now. Then at the end, let's just pass the nigger to it back so that it's not going to crash the system. So this is done. This part is done. Don't forget, we have not declared this guy. So we now need to declare this guy just to make sure the content is loaded to the screen. Okay, so now we are done with the on content render area, which is what's on content render as what ID media, which is our ID. So the next thing we're going to be looking into now is the browser routes. Don't forget the browser routes. Okay, so now let's go back to our browser and see where we are at the moment. So let me save this, go back to the browser. Let's see if we have anything on the screen. At the moment there is an issue. This does state that add is not a function, so we just need to complete this function just to make sure it's working. So the next thing we are going to do now after the on render functionality is done is the browser routes. So I get to add a comma. Don't forget, all this is under what is under the initialize. Can you see WP what initialize section? So after the initialize, the next thing is the browser route. So let's type what browser route. Browser router. Okay, so under the browser router we return the router view. Okay, so under the router view, let me return this so that we don't get confused. So under the browser router, we are going to accept the router view, then we set a new view to it. So router view dot set. So what are we setting into the router view? Let me close this so that we don't get confused. Save it. Okay, so once that has been done, the router view dot set, the next thing we're going to do is to set the upload property, our current ID, and also the browse area. So first we are going to set the upload property. So I'm going to say upload. Under upload we return a properties, we return another object. So this object is going to be accepted text. So text, under this text we are going to introduce WP media view. So we are going to return wp.media view dot their current title that they are using. So media view dot that should be L. Is it capital letter L? Okay, sorry. Okay, small letter L. Awesome. Small letter L. Then 10n dot upload files title. This is just to get a title. Very funny. And the priority should be just 20, as in priority is awesome, which is 20. Okay, sorry. So the priority is 20. Then after this has been declared, then the next thing we need to declare is our own personal ID. So what ID are we declaring? ID media. So ID media is the ID. So pass in your ID. Then inside your ID, you also need to declare some objects. So in this place, we are going to be setting our own title. So in our own title section, we are going to call this ID media. So ID what? Media. Awesome. Then the priority will be 30. So let's give it 30 priority. Okay, so after added media has been declared, the next thing is the browse. So the browse functionality, which is going to take in another property from other areas. So in case there's an extent from another plugin, it's going to what? It's going to be visible. So browse. So in this browse section, we are going to return another property, another object. So this object is going to be the media library what title. So instead of browse file title, this is going to be media library title. So media what? Library, media library title. Media library title. Okay, this is correct. Then the priority should be 40. Awesome. Okay, so this is how WordPress declares that. Okay, now our browser route has been declared. Yes, everything is okay on our browser route, and on our browser router view. This is awesome. So the next thing to do now is the render area, the render content that we declared the previous time. So we now need to go to this place and pick our render ID media content. Go to where browser router ends, then give a comma, pass in this guy, then return a function. So we need to return a function. Then inside this function, we are going to declare our view. We need to declare our view. So we are going to call this variable ID media. Let's call this ID media content. I think this, no, let's use something. ID media content. This is great. So ID media content is equals towards wp dot backbone backbone view, then extend. So we are going to extend the backbone view. Then the first we are going to target what? The tag name. So the tag name is going to be what? ID what? Oh, no, we're not using ID media. Let's use div. So the tag name is going to be div. Then the class name is ID media content, and the template that we're going to be using. So the template is going to be wp template. So wp.template. So we're going to get this template from our backend, and the template is going to be ID media. Let's call this ID media content. So let's take out this iPhone. ID media content is the template. So let's change the active to none. So let's take out the active to none. So active is going to be false. Okay, and the toolbar is going to be no. So let's pass toolbar as no. Okay, sorry, this is not toolbar, this is tooltip. Toolbar. GitHub Copilot is showing me something else. I don't know. Okay, this is toolbar. Toolbar is going to be no, and the frame is going to be no. So the frame is going to be no. Okay, so after this has been passed, then the next thing we need to do is to close down the extent arrow. Okay, the extent has been closed. As you can see, we closed it. The tag name div, the class name ID media content, the template is this. So we're going to declare this template at the back end side, and active is false, toolbar is this, frame is what? No. So at the moment we'll still be getting errors if you try to run it. Let me show you. If I save this now, go back to browser, we'll still get some error because we are not done yet. Everything is still not intact completely. Let me switch my network. Okay, reload. Let me see. Let me show you something. As you can see, it's still giving error because this state.add is not a what? It's not a function. We are still facing some error. So the next thing we now need to do under this render ID media content is to pass in the variable view. So the variable view needs to be passed. So after this added content, the next thing is to declare variable view. then we will return the content into the view. So let's say, sorry, so we're going to say variable view is equals to what, new added content. Okay, then we return it into it, this dot content, this dot content dot set what, the view. Okay, now we set this view into this current added media content. This is the view we are setting, getting this from the backend. Okay, so that is how we are rolling it. Awesome. So if I, sorry, Ctrl Z, if I save this and refresh, this should show something. Okay, this state dot add is not a function. This state dot add, this state dot add, yeah, this state dot add is not a function. Let's track this error. So let's debug this in together. Yeah, state. Okay, sorry, I use states instead of states, plural, states, not states, states. Okay, so sometimes error might just be something really silly that you don't really put your mind. So if I click on add media, as you can see, we have the pop-up is now working, but we still don't have that tab. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do now, because we are done with this part, so we need to make a declaration to the added media content and return the data, and return the data to the JavaScript end. So now we are going to go to the backend side, which is the functions.php over here. So our WPNQ script is running fine, is working very fine. So what we are going to do in this section is to declare the template. We need to declare this template that we initialized in the previous section, added media content. So this added media content template is not declared yet, so we need to declare the added media content template. Okay, so now let's declare this template. Now we are going to do this by going to the functions area. So under here we are going to add media template. So add media template, add media templates. So this is going to add media template. So we're going to use add action. Add action. Under this action is going to be print media template, print media templates. Then print media template is going to return the template that we're going to be using. So this is going to be this. Copy this, drop it here. Then over here we're going to declare the templates. Okay, so over here now we're going to declare a simple JavaScript that is going to be holding our template. So here is going to be script. Okay, inside the script we are going to be accepting a type of text HTML. So text slash HTML. Okay, so and the ID for this is going to be the ID we declared in this area. This ID, don't forget we declare an ID here. Where is the ID? ID what? ID what? Media. ID media. So the ID media is going to be synced to the content area. So now WP content template is going to be matching with this. So let's make everything rhyme, please. Let's make all this ID rhyme together. So let me update this to this so that we don't have an error. So go back to this place, pass it into this place by using tmpl hyphen the ID you just declared. tmpl hyphen ID what? Media, the ID you just declared. Okay, after that has been done, inside this place you can actually introduce your div and call this h1. Working. So save it. After this has been saved, now don't forget this is attached to what's print media template. After this has been attached to that, then you are good to go. You are good to go. That is all for now. So let's check our errors. If we have any errors, we don't have any errors. Medium views, jQuery. Okay, this is awesome. WP media scripts, WPNQ scripts. So everything is fine. Everything is fine on my end here. Okay. Now you go back to the JavaScript area. We are fine. Render media content. Okay. Okay. This is great. This is great. Okay. Let's refresh. Add media. Oh, it's still not visible. It's still not visible. Let's go back to our code. Hey guys, in the last section we had an error. In fact, the reason why it does not work is because the properties I'm using is totally off the WordPress section. So I finally figured out the issue. The reason why that does not work is because I'm using browser route. I'm using browser router. Meanwhile, browser router is not supposed to be browser router. It's supposed to be browse router. So let's take out the R. My bad, so sorry about that. So I take out the R, and also this guy is not passing the right property. If I save this now and go back to the browser, reload, and wants to open the media area, now you're gonna find undefined what L10N, undefined L10N. So the reason why we have undefined L10N is because we are pointing directly to the view. Meanwhile, we can't get it from the view directly. It's supposed to be WP media, wp.media.media.view. Yes, wp.media.view.110, then upload files title. Awesome. So also here we have wp.media, okay.view.l10n.media library title. So that is the correct property. So I made a mistake there. Sorry about that. So if I save this now, reload this page, click on add media. Now we have what? Add media, and it's working as expected. This is awesome. Funny enough, you can load anything here. So let me try to load, because it's loading an HTML. Let me try to load one of my course into it. Let me load this. So I'm gonna click on share, then embed, copy the entire HTML tag. Okay, close this, go back to the post area, go back to our code section, go to function. So for you to know, this is coming from the backend, not from the JavaScript head. So if I save this now, the JavaScript the PHP is going to pre-process it on the server load. So once the page loads up, this HTML is already added to this page. Yes, it's added. I will show you that. So by the time you click on adding media, you are gonna find it. Can you see? We have it here. Hey guys, welcome. Can you see? This is awesome. Now once you take it out, it's gonna close what the HTML, because it's overriding the content. So you cannot do anything you want to do. Now you can manipulate your HTML. You can do absolutely anything. You can do anything with what we currently have here. This is great. This is awesome. So now I believe this we add an insight for you. Now you can do something with add media functionality. You can add a new tab to this. So yeah, good job to you guys, and thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It is very, very important. Do subscribe to my channel to get more great content like this. So now, if I quit this video, let me show you where this template is adding on the current page that we have. So I'm going to inspect this page, view page source, search for this ID. Can you see? This is the iframe that we added. So by default, once you load the page, it's going to load the template down to the server end so that you can manipulate using JavaScript. So once this is added, you can then pass an ID to your JavaScript area and start manipulating it. Okay, so thank you so much for taking your time to watch this video. See you some other time.